Hello and welcome to FDT-TV. I am Mike and I am joined always by the lovely
Ian.
Thank you very much. How you doing, Ian? You okay?
Yeah, very good. So good news today. Not good football, but it all balances itself out, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it's may I just say it's fantastic news. We won't go into too much detail. Obviously, it's a bit of a personal issue, but yes, congratulations. It's fantastic news. This week in football, there's something I do want to discuss with you, but we shall come on to that very shortly. Obviously, if you've already clicked on the video, you know exactly what it is that we are going to be discussing at length. But I just want to talk about the weekend's games as well. On Sunday, we see Arsenal return back to the top of the Premier League.
Yes.
Another 3 points. Fantastic result against Nottingham Forest. And I don't know how to take this, and I'm going to get your opinion on this. Because I've seen us getting a lot of stick saying it's only Nottingham Forest. And granted, Nottingham Forest are doing pretty poorly. However, they have taken some scalps this season, notably Liverpool last weekend.
I think they've taken 2 scalps. One of them was West Ham.
Well, there you go. That's what is it you keep saying to us on a weekly basis, mate? You're fucking massive or something, innit?
In ages, mate.
It's come fucking crashing down massively, isn't it? Smack back to reality this season. Okay, so yeah, they have taken West Ham and Liverpool. I think is the notable result just recently. Last weekend, I think it was a 1-0 victory. But I mean, I will be honest. They didn't really turn up yesterday. I think they gave us like 2 shots or 2 tests against Aaron Ramsdale, and it was one of these games that you should be winning. You know, you get for us for the last few seasons, we haven't been the teams that we should be beating, and we struggle against the top 6. Obviously, we have already beaten Liverpool, we have already beaten Tottenham Hotspur, and the rest of the teams, I wouldn't say necessarily have been easy, but they are the opposition that we should be beating week in, week out. And it was... Sorry, go on.
So I think he went back. Steve Cooper went back to his philosophies of football, which is he's right to do so because that's what got him into the Premier League. They didn't weigh by them when they beat Liverpool, and they tried, I think, to be a little bit more expansive against you guys and got opened up like a tin of sardines.
Massively. And it was very interesting to hear him come out as well after the post-match press conference and basically say that they got the fundamentals of the game all wrong. They didn't come out, they didn't show enough energy, and it cost them. It cost them massively. But I've got to say, overall, I think it was a fantastic performance by us. Good to see Martinelli back on the score sheet. Reece Nelson obviously has spent a couple of seasons on loan away from the club, which is has been a big challenge for him, but hasn't really set the world alight with those loan spells. I think he had a good spell at Feyenoord, but coming back into the team, obviously we did see Bukayo Saka off injured. Unfortunately, we don't know how serious that is at the moment, but it was good to see the performance, and I think, to be honest, it was a good icebreaker for Reece Nelson to come back into the team and get 2 goals. Thomas Partey with another absolute worldie into the top bins, and Gabriel Jesus. Am I worried that he hasn't scored now, I think, in 7 games? No. Because his work rate is fantastic, his influence on the team is absolutely brilliant, and he's popping up with assists. I think we just mentioned, in fact, you look like you're going to say it, so I'll let you say it.
It's not just he's not bringing just goals to the game, which is what a traditional striker is doing. His movement, for me, is what does it for him. He's opening up and dragging defenders away, which is leaving the gaps for Saka and Martinelli and Odegaard to fill, which is why they're getting bundles of goals this year. Yeah,
and it is good. Obviously, we have been conceding some silly goals, and I think that's the first clean sheet that we've had at the Emirates for 10 games, I think. So whilst our home run is fantastic in the Emirates, I think we haven't been beaten there in I don't even know how long. It was keeping a clean sheet was proving to be a bit of a challenge, but it was good to see that we managed to pick up a clean sheet. So 5-0 victory for us. And then obviously your boys took on Manchester United yesterday.
We took on Bournemouth, didn't we?
Bournemouth
last week.
Yes, yeah.
With the old 2. We did take on Manchester United, and well, I think for a lot of it we were better. We just had no end product in us at the minute. But what I will say is, Man United got away with a lot. They got the refereeing, and there was a couple of challenges on our side as well. I will say this: I always like to try and be fair. There was a couple of challenges on our side which went unpunished, but the major one for me is we should have had one penalty definitely, and Gary Neville was one to say, well, if that's outside the box, it's a foul every day of the week. Because it's not. Well, hang on, it can't be a foul outside the box and not a foul inside the box. And that was McTominay catching somebody. Wasn't necessarily intentional, but it was sloppy and it was uncontrolled. And also Maguire just ran through, arms all over Jared Bowen, took him to the floor, didn't get blown up. A number of times they just dragging Bowen to the floor and we didn't get anything. De Gea did make 2 phenomenal saves though, we'll give him that. And Rashford got his 100th goal, a Premier League goal, which is good. It was a very good goal. But I think the underrated player of that game was Diego Dalot, the Manchester United right back. He was phenomenal at right back. And saved them a number of times. So Maguire pinched in between Martinez and Dalot, saved him. They both bailed him out a number of times. But yeah, for me, we can't score. We seem to be setting up quite negatively still. And Mr. Potato Salad, I love him. I think his work rate is phenomenal. But he put in a sloppy challenge which gave away a free kick. He got yellow for it, and his passes just are so wayward. He's playing such a different role to what he had done that first season, where he was that sort of last man in the box running forward, getting on the end of things. He's now playing more defensively, and it's not working out for him. I think Moyes needs to take him out of the limelight, play Rice and Flynn Dowes there, and play Fornals instead of him. Or Paqueta when he's back fit. But go with Benrahma, Bowen, Fornals or Paqueta, and just let them do their interchanging, and maybe that'll open up teams a little bit more rather than giving away silly balls in their own half. Yeah, VAR, you shit. Didn't even look at stuff, so fuck you. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I know there have been some inconsistencies again this weekend. I think we've absolutely done it to death the last few weeks. So it's something we could possibly fill a whole hour with. It's certainly looking back for this season already currently, plus the previous few seasons that it's been in place, looking at the points that teams have dropped because of poor decisions through VAR. I think we need to stay away from VAR this week. Granted, I think if I was on the receiving end of a VAR decision, I'd probably want to shout about it till the cows come home.
The thing, right? Troy Deeney had a column in the Sun today, which I think he's hit the nail on the head, and that's make the referees accountable. At the end of the match, same as the managers do, they do their interviews, make the officials do an interview to explain their decisions, especially if they're contentious decisions. It will put the onus back on the official to make the right decision. Because at the minute, it goes on, and the PF or the MAO, whatever they're called, make up some excuse as to why it's right. No, actually, let someone grill them. But that wasn't the correct decision. Let's look at it. Oh no, it wasn't right, was it? So why did you make that decision even after you looked at it? Make them accountable.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree.
It's like
if
general public are saying it, ex-player or current players are saying it, and the pundits are saying it. The only people who don't seem to listen is the FA. then it comes back to the old conspiracy, doesn't it? It's
Night and our league, mate. Definitely night and our league. So yeah, obviously we'll go back over the predictions later on, because I know there was another game that we predicted as well, but we'll come back onto that a bit later on when we talk about our next set of predictions. But let's get into the meat as to why we're here. This week I did a bit of research and I wanted to talk about the demise of Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool have been a force to be reckoned with over the last few years. I know they've won some silverware, but also narrowly missed out on a couple of Premier Leagues, finishing second. I think it was like 1 point behind Manchester City, who have won the titles. Obviously, I know they won the Premier League in the middle of the COVID crisis. So that may be a reason as to why they won it, because obviously I think you made a bit of a joke around about the time saying that when hell freezes over, Liverpool will win the league, and I vaguely remember a joke you made then. Right, so I wanted to just talk about a few things. Obviously, with my research that I've done, some pre-planned research. I'm going to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh then.
Liverpool currently sitting in 9th position, 4 wins, 4 draws and 4 losses already this season. They are a total of 16 points in 12 matches, 8 points off the top 4 and 15 points off first. So this is for this season. They have dropped 20 points already from their first 12 games, and they only dropped 22 points in the whole of last season. Okay, so that's point one. I know that they have had some notable injuries this year, but personally I think looking at their first 11, you could say that the notable injuries injuries or absences have been down to fringe players, not necessarily first team players, fringe players. Obviously, Luis Diaz, we know, I believe, was the replacement or supposed replacement for Sadio Mane. He's out. Diego Jota, we know he can score goals. He's out. Thiago, I think, was out for illness, but started again at the weekend. Kanate, Matip, and Melo all currently absent from the Liverpool squad. Yeah. Do you buy Jurgen Klopp's excuses, certainly recently, as to the reason why they have been so inconsistent is down to their number of injuries? In fact, I'm going to expand that question slightly. Do you accept Jurgen Klopp's and Liverpool fans' argument?
I don't accept it coming from a Liverpool fan because that's opinion based. So with Jurgen Klopp, obviously, if you cast your mind back to October 2015 when he took over, I think we all secretly went, "Fucking hell, Liverpool are going to be good now." He's a man manager, he's a fan favourite, and his excuses are sometimes wild, but I think he's almost the polar opposite in terms of media management to what Jose Mourinho would be, because Jose obviously is well known for chucking his players in front of the bus. This person wasn't good enough, that person wasn't good enough, this person's overweight. Where Klopp will blame the wind, he will blame the bloke who was sitting in row G who had a shiny head and it put the keeper off. He will blame, we've had too many injuries, the fixtures are too congested. And I think he's trying to keep morale in that club together. We're in this as a team, we win as a team, we lose as a team. If he starts pointing fingers, which he could easily do, I'm sure, then that starts to create any fractures will get bigger, will get worse, and that's where you see the dressing rooms going, because I don't like that player no more. The manager's saying he's not pulling his weight and he's shit and fuck you. And, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think he's trying to keep that morale high and try and sort of take the blame off of players on the pitch and say, well, look, if we had our full squad, we'd have a different complement of players, we'd be able to tactically change things and play it to our advantage. So I think it's just an excuse. I don't think it's down to that at all. But I've got some theories to share with you a bit later on.
Okay. Do you want to go through those now?
So, no, carry on with yours, because you might pick it up on what I was going to say.
Okay, right. So, obviously we have said at length. In fact, I'm not even going to take any credit for this because this was all you. During the transfer window, we did see some notable outs from Liverpool. Obviously, Sadio Mane, I think, being the biggest notable out. Obviously, Divock Origi, again, I think was another player who has cropped up, certainly over the last... Yeah, and scored some vital goals. He left on a free to go to AC Milan, and Sadio Mane, £35 million to Bayern Munich. Personally, I think that's an absolute steal for the quality of player. And I think when you look at how he has played over the last few seasons, and looking at the Liverpool squad, you only really realise how key and instrumental Mane was, not only to the success of Liverpool, but to the success of Firmino and Salah as well.
Yeah, he's a selfless player. He was happy to pass the ball, maybe not always, but he would pass the ball into Salah. And I think Firmino, to a certain extent, would do the same. They were happy to play second fiddle. Firmino is their top goal scorer at the minute, but he's now vying for that place of, I want to score. I've played second fiddle. Salah's not doing nothing. He's not supplying anything. All right, he's still getting a goal or two. But we've got Darwin Núñez who wants to score the goals. We've got Jota who wants to score the goals. We've got Luis Diaz who wants to score the goals. I don't want to play second fiddle no more. I want to be the main man. And I think that thing of, especially with those younger players wanting to be the main man, I'm the goal scorer, I'm the top dog. When there's an opportunity to square it across the box, we see it earlier on in the season with Foden and Haaland. Foden didn't want to pass. Now started passing. How many goals has Haaland got? If they start doing that, they'll start scoring again.
Yeah.
Because they do create chances, Liverpool.
Yes, and I think that's one of the things that we've seen, certainly over the last few weeks, is that they've been so hit and miss. So you look at, I'm just going to go through their fixtures.
So saying about them creating chances, they've scored more goals than everyone in the league apart from those teams in the top four.
I think that was massively helped with that 9-0 win over Bournemouth.
It was, but they're still scoring goals.
Yeah.
On paper, they're still scoring.
Okay, so I'm just going to look through their wins this year. And we're just going to look at the calibre of the teams around them that they've beaten. So 1-0 against West Ham. This is a game that we spoke about a week or so ago. And I think that you even pointed out that you were well in that match. Had you scored that penalty... In fact, this was your game. I'll let you just recap it again.
I think you're right. I did say that. If we'd scored that penalty, it would have changed the game. We would have gone on with the confidence we could score. It was very reminiscent of a West Ham performance at the minute. Set up negatively in the first half, come out flying in the second, and we made loads of chances. We controlled the game. We just couldn't score. You could have played that game, and it's a bit like the Nottingham Forest game, a bit like the Manchester United game. We could have played that game 4 days straight, and we still wouldn't have been able to put it in the back of the net. And that was lucky. I think at best they deserved the draw out of that game. And that's down to us not being clinical rather than them being deserving.
And I think that's something fairly noticeable when you look at the teams that they have beaten. So I'll come on to the next fixture again. 1-0 against Manchester City. Again, it's another game that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. That just on the basis that Liverpool won that, everyone was, or all Liverpool fans coming out saying, "Oh yeah, we're back. This is it. This is now a turning point for us." But when we look at that game again, Manchester City had a goal chipped off for it was something stupid.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. So that was a narrow win over arguably one of the best team in the Premier League.
When,
Sorry, go on.
when you look at that game, Manchester City had 63% of the possession. Liverpool had 2 shots on target. They created 5 clear-cut chances according to Opta. They had 2 shots on target in that whole game.
Mm-hmm. And that's
they 1-0.
And that's what I'm saying. So, and this is another thing for the next game. I don't know if you want to come up with some stats on this one, but 2-1 against Newcastle.
When was that?
It was a good few weeks ago.
I can give you some stats on that. Obviously, you beat them, didn't you, the week before that?
Yep.
Then Brighton, then 2-1 Newcastle. I can give you some stats. What would you like?
Right. So, from what I remember, they scored. It was a very, very, very late winner.
Yeah, Fabio Carvalho in the 98th minute. That was right. I do remember that because there was only 3 minutes of added time.
Yes, and I think they were on about 96 minutes or something stupid. So it was, granted, obviously looking back on that, Newcastle, I would say, have only themselves to blame on that from the time wasting that was going on in that game. And I think there was an injury to someone late on in the game as well. So it was time added. Yes, yeah. So the referee, I suppose you could be excused. I mean, I was a little bit outraged by that, by the fact that I think it was like 4 or 5 minutes into extra time. Anyway, so again, a narrow win on that one. What were we looking like on chances and possession for that game?
Liverpool were more dominant in that game. They had 70% possession, but I think that's more the way that Newcastle set out their team. It wasn't like they have done in the rest of their games. They set out quite negatively, and I think gave Liverpool too much respect. They only cut out 1 clear-cut chance, but six shots on target, which sounds really good, but not when you have 23 shots. So, yeah, it wasn't good.
Okay, so then looking at the 9-0 against Bournemouth, again, I think we can just put that down too as an absolute drubbing. Liverpool back on their A game. I don't think we really need to go.
That was what's his name? Parker's last game, wasn't it? Where he said, "Oh, not backing me." I think that was almost a protest from him saying, "Look, we got battered. This is that. We can't compete at this level." Again. More dominant, but only 19 chances or 19 shots in that game. 3 clear-cut chances. Just a very poor Bournemouth side that I think their heads dropped by half-time.
Okay, right. So now I want to just have a quick look at the draws. Now, I don't want to seem disrespectful against the opposition for these fixtures, but I can guarantee you if it was the likes of us, Manchester City, Man United, there would be an absolute outrage from Liverpool fans saying, "Oh, it's only this team, it's only this team."
These are the fixtures that a lot of them that fans would have looked at the beginning of the year, gone, "We've won that, we've won that, we've won that," and yet should have lost. In the majority of cases, I think.
Yeah. So Fulham 2-2.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Sorry.
Opening day of the season.
Yep.
For the opening game.
Crystal Palace 1-1. I know Crystal Palace have been a bit of a bogey team for Liverpool, certainly in the recent history, maybe not so much over the last couple of seasons, but that was one of those games where you thought if Liverpool were going to potentially struggle, it was going to be against Crystal Palace, again, because they had been a bit of a bogey team for them. Everton, a notable one. Again, Liverpool, I think, again, we spoke about this, were lucky in this particular game that Everton had a goal chalked off again in that game and should have won that game.
It would have been the VAR lines for Conor Cody's late winner, was it? Yeah.
So again, Liverpool, I think, were lucky in that game. Brighton, a couple of weeks ago, 3-3. I think they were 2-0 up, ended up conceding 3 goals, Brighton ended up conceding 3 goals. I think got a late equaliser into the game.
Yeah, so Brighton scored an own goal, which helped out Liverpool. But Trossard, with an early goal, 2 early goals and a late one to seal a hat trick against them.
Yeah.
But yeah, lucky that, and it was a really sloppy own goal. So I think they're again lucky that that's another point that they shouldn't have had.
So now looking at their losses for this season already, obviously we know one of them fairly recently, 2-1 against Manchester United. I know there's a massive rivalry between Manchester United and Liverpool over the years. Some would say it's possibly one of the biggest rivalries, even rivaling Liverpool, Everton, Tottenham, Spurs, all that sort of stuff. Massive rivalry because they're two very successful clubs. But at the time, I think Man United were on a bit of a revival, and I think were by far the better team. Arsenal. Sorry, go on.
That was that game. Just to go back to the stats for it, Liverpool had 70% possession, yet they only made one chance in that game. Manchester United obviously 29.5% possession in total, 4 clear-cut chances, had the same amount of shots on target as Liverpool did, and they ran out 2-1 winners.
And I think that shows possibly some of Liverpool's weaknesses already this season has been their defence.
Let's keep the ball and concede, I think, is the plan at the minute.
And I think what has been reflective over the last over the last few years is that when Liverpool go out on the attack, they are very good at attacking, and it becomes very hard for you to kind of make positions and open space up because they will absolutely punish you for that. And I think Liverpool potentially have been found out this year in the fact that they are teams are kind of sitting back on them. So they're narrowing the space so they can't make these opportunities for their attackers. Again, just going back to their injuries and stuff. But I think because something that we have mentioned before in this podcast, and it's quite a well-known saying, is that winning breeds confidence. Because they have been so ropey this year, I think it's very apparent that they're trying to dominate those games. It's not quite working. Become very defensive, leaking late goals, obviously, to either draw or lose the game. Leeds, notably, last minute winner at the weekend. So, but Arsenal 3-2 winners over Liverpool, and Nottingham Forest 1-0 winners. Again, I would say that was a counter-attacking masterclass, but I don't think it was, because certainly from the highlights I've seen, Nottingham Forest were kind of all over Liverpool.
They defended compactly, but again, they created the same amount of clear-cut chances and had the same amount of shots on target with 7. Liverpool had 75% possession in that game, which is I think it's got to be up there for one of the highest possession bases ever in the Premier League. They lost 1-0. What does that show? They did absolutely nothing with that ball.
This is something I've mentioned to a well-known friend of ours when he kind of spouts off to me about, we had X amount of possession, and I've said to him on so many occasions, possession doesn't win you games. You've got to hit the back of the onion bag in order to win games.
Possession against Leeds. What did they do with it?
I think one of my all-time favourite stats for possession and
Chelsea Barcelona.
Exactly that game. That game. And I think that is perfect evidence of where possession wins you absolutely dick all if you don't do anything with it. So I realised I have absolutely waffled.
No, I think it's good to go over those because say certainly for this season they seem to have dropped off a cliff. I think it's deeper rooted.
It's going to be about the asthma pumps or something.
It's not going to be the asthma. Obviously, that is something that I think will come out at some point, and I think in years to come, like in the NFL, they had the Deflate Gate, didn't they? And they've had a number of different, not conspiracies, but a number of different trials and tribulations over all sorts of different sports. It's been a long time since we've had one in football. I think that's going to be the next big one. If you haven't already, go back to that podcast. It's explained in a lot more detail as to what that is and the what's and whys and what may happen or may not have been happening. But my theory is, Mike, Liverpool have never been good.
Okay.
So I went a slightly different way with looking at this. Is Liverpool are ninth at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
So the season that Klopp could get me tongue back in my mouth. The season Klopp took over 7 years ago was the 15-16 season.
Mm-hmm.
So he took over on the 8th of October, and they finished. That was the season. I'm sure you remember. Leicester won.
Yep.
They finished 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea finished 10th that season, which is not great. The next season, they finished 4th,
mm-hmm.
so markedly improvement. But Manchester United finished 6th, Arsenal finished 5th. The next season, 4th again, so consecutive Champions League finishes. Chelsea was 5th, Arsenal was 6th. Season after that, they finished 2nd. Arsenal was 5th. That was when Wenger left. And Manchester United was 6th. Liverpool won. They then won the Premier League, believe it or not. I don't know if you remember that or if they've ever stopped going on about it since. Arsenal finished 8th that season.
Mm-hmm.
Tottenham finished 6th after successive years in the top 4. Chelsea were 4th with 12 losses. That's never happened before. No one's ever got 12 losses and finished in the top 4. The next season, they obviously dropped down to 3rd. Tottenham was 7th. Arsenal were 8th. The season just gone, they finished 2nd again. Tottenham were 4th with 11 losses, so almost matching that Chelsea. Arsenal were 5th and Manchester United were 6th. So my theory is they've never been good. They've capitalised on a lot of teams who've been up there for a very long time being in a poor state. Arsenal have gone for a big change. They've got rid of one of the best managers ever. Manchester United are going for a big change. They've got rid of one of the best managers ever. Chelsea are going through managers all the time. But the season before he took over, right, Liverpool was 6th. The seasons before he took over, they finished 6th. Then they were 2nd, but that was the season that Ferguson left, and Manchester United finished 7th, and Tottenham finished 6th. Prior to that, they were 6th, 8th, 7th, 8th, and 6th. So it's not like they've been. All right, if you go, back in the 80s, we were big. I'm not arguing that point. Since that happened, you dropped off a cliff. You never come back. It's only where the likes of the big teams have bad seasons, and a number of them, say Arsenal have been going through a number of bad seasons, United have been going through a number of bad seasons, Chelsea have been going through a number of bad seasons, that they've gone, actually, boom, we're now above those teams. Other than that, they were always mid-table. So I don't think it's a big surprise that actually Arsenal are back in form as they would have done under Wenger. Man United are seemingly getting up there again. Chelsea are going through a wave still, but Tottenham are back in normality. City, obviously, they've always been up there since they've been taken over. But there's always been one or two clubs as well that's sneaking in there. Newcastle have got big money now. They're playing really well. I mean, a number of seasons ago, they finished behind Everton.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not unheard of. They finished behind us. This is since Klopp's been in charge. It's not like it's a new thing. I think it's a case that they more capitalise on the weakness of others, and actually, as you said, confidence.
Mm.
That made them think we're better than we are. Trent's got a stupid haircut now, a bit like Dele Alli. I'm the best player in the world. No, mate, you're not. You were really good when you were confident, and you were really good when you were doing what suited your strength. Now you've got to play ball because everyone's going, you track too far forward, I'm going to put one over your head and run at you. You're struggling. You're locked in the water. You're right between a head. I don't think Liverpool have ever been good. That's my theory.
Do you know what? I really like that. And it's funny you should mention that, actually, because I was looking at the seasons that since Klopp has been in charge. Now, I'm not going to go into too much about goals scored versus goals conceded, but I thought this was really interesting. So just kind of to recap what you mentioned, Jurgen Klopp in season 1 finished 8th, finished on 60 points, won 16, drew 12, lost 10, average of 1.6 points per game. Second season, 4th, 76 points, 22 wins, 10 draws, 6 losses, 2 points per game. Third season, finished 4th, 75 points, 21 wins, 12 draws, 5 losses, 1.97 points per game. Second, 30 wins, 7 draws, 1 loss, 97 points. First, 99 points, 2.61 points per game, 32 wins, 3 draws and 3 losses. Now, we know that was the year. Obviously, it was smack bang in the middle of COVID. It was a bizarre season. I said this at the time as well, in the fact that it must have been a massive adjustment period for these players to try and cope with the atmospheres of, lack of atmospheres, because I think a lot of players G themselves up, and it was funny because you mentioned to me at that particular point, if you can't G yourself up for 120 grand a week or whatever, then you shouldn't be a professional footballer. And I suppose to some extent I get that, but for me, I think these players thrive on the atmosphere. Now, looking at the season after their title winning season, they dropped down to 3rd, but only achieved 69 points that season. 20 wins, 9 draws and 9 losses. So you can kind of see a bit of a trajectory going up and then kind of falling down on its arse a bit. And I know that a slight exception to that would be last season with 28 wins, 8 draws and 2 losses. And I think they took it down to the last game of the season. But I would say they won a massive trajectory. Obviously, fans and stuff started coming back into the stadium. A bit of an adjustment period for them readjusting to fans coming in. So it may have been why the other teams around them were doing better and they didn't do as well. But I think possibly by the start of this season as well, it wouldn't surprise me if the Liverpool team feel a bit dejected, because they've put in 3 really good seasons out of the last 4 years, and at their best they still weren't good enough to win the league. Granted, one of them was a title winning season, but two of those weren't good enough to win a title. Now, looking back at the trophies he's won 1 Premier League, League Cup and FA Cup last year, the Champions League, Club World Cup and Super Cup, but effectively they might as well be pre-season friendly trophies. Do you know what I mean? They don't really mean anything. It just means they get a sticker on their shirt for saying Club World Cup champions or whatever. But in what will be his 8th season in charge of Liverpool now, would you say that looking at his returns on silverware, 1 Premier League, 1 Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup, would you say that is a good time in charge, or I could have done better?
I don't think it's terrible. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, everyone would always like more. The Premier League is very competitive, and that's what I would say. Is okay. Number of teams dropped off, which is why, as I said, I think they've capitalised on the teams around them not playing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But every season's always a 2-horse race. At minimum, I can't remember the last time it was just there was one team that ran away with it and that was it. There's always been 2 that really kick off if they do and pull away from the pack. I think when you look at some of the things that he's won, the Club World Cup, the Super Cup, things like that, it's a bit like winning the Community Shield. It's nice to do, but actually the calibre of opposition isn't always top tier. Had he gone away and gone, I've won 3 Premier Leagues in 8 seasons, I've won 3 Champions Leagues, and I've won an FA Cup and a League Cup, you'd go, actually that's more impressive than winning 15 Club World Championships. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it's bad, but I also don't think it's good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no.
What it all depends on how you pitch it, because you pitching it like that out of 8 years, I don't think it's bad. When you speak to Liverpool fans who are unbearable, I think is the only word to describe them, really. That, like, don't get me wrong, some of them are really nice people, but when it comes to football, they're just so tunnel vision as to Liverpool's the best. We've got the best wingers. We've got Mane and Salah. We've got the best wingers in the world. We've got the best goalkeeper. We've got the best defenders. We've got the best defender that's ever played football in the world in Virgil van Dijk. Why haven't you won more? Why haven't you won the Premier League every year? Van Dijk was in the team for 3 years before he won the Premier League. Like, he's a decent defender. He's being found out this year. He was good at Southampton. He was good at Celtic. He's not the best defender to ever have played. I'm sorry, but say if you pitch it in that sense of listening to how they would pitch it as we're the best, no, it's a shit return. Do you know what I mean? Like from a neutral perspective, that many wins over or seven years, because we're not at a conclusion yet. I don't think it's terrible. But when you have to listen to the audacity of we're the best all the time. Oh yeah, but we lost to Leeds. Yeah, but we were better, weren't we? Well, no, clearly not. You lost. Oh we're better than Nottingham Forest. Well, clearly not on the day because you lost. It's hard to swallow, and it also almost makes you want to hate them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there have been times where you watch Liverpool and you go, this is phenomenal, actually. This is lovely to watch a team be able to control the ball like that and run forward and dismantle teams. But as soon as we're the best, no, fuck you, I don't care. I hope you burn in the fire. You know what I mean? I can't hack it.
And do you know what? It's funny you should mention that, actually, because there's a few Liverpool fans I know, and it always has been that kind of, well, we beat you, as in we beat Arsenal, so we're clearly the best team in the... I'm not judging Arsenal by any standards to say if you beat us then you're the best team. I know we've been shit the last few years, but it is, as you say, just constant, oh yeah, we're the best, and you do get sick of it. And I swear to God, that is why I hate Liverpool FC, because of people like that.
Because of City, like, oh yeah, but apart from City we're the best. Oh yeah, but Real Madrid in the Champions League, you're not the best. Oh, yeah, but apart from Real Madrid and Manchester City, we're the best. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, massively.
Well, there's a beach ball on the pitch. We're the best.
Yeah, I do completely concur with exactly what you're saying. And don't get me wrong, if someone had offered me that in the last 8 years, that trophy return, 100%, I'd take their hand off for it. Obviously, we have got one FA Cup in 1920. And I don't mean the year 1920, I mean the season 1920. But yeah, it just astounds me from looking at, and I think one of the things that I'm finding difficult to understand in terms of no, I think one of the things I'm finding difficult to understand is that you look at Liverpool, certainly last season and their title winning season. I would say the good majority of that, you knew if Liverpool went 1-0 down, they would go on and they would score. They would actually run right. Do you know what I mean? Is that you could guarantee.
But that's confidence, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose, and I think with the start of the season, it has proper rocked their confidence, and they've been a little bit shaky in Europe as well, but. Certainly from the start of the Premier League this year, it's been diabolical. But am I saying it's only diabolical based on recent season standards? Possibly. But as you said, if you look at the before Jurgen Klopp come in to his early tenure,
he is, wasn't he? So the guy who owned it, what's his name? John W. Henry. Is that him? He when you look at their transfers, especially towards the start of Klopp's reign, he owned the club that the film Moneyball was based on. Thought that film was a depiction of what they did there. And very much the same. Benteke, most successful aerial duels, most successful headers, most successful headed goals. They bought him from Aston Villa because he was on fire that season, and for per pound, in terms of say buying him and goal return for the season before, he was phenomenal. However, when you look at Aston Villa, they put in the most crosses in the Premier League. Liverpool put in the least crosses in the Premier League. So he turned up to them and was absolutely diabolical because he couldn't win balls in the air because there wasn't any. We played to feet. He couldn't play. He still can't play to feet. Put a ball in the box. He'll still get there. But it was that sort of thing, and it was that Moneyball, right? Actually, who statistically is the best player? And it didn't always work out. That's how they ended up with Virgil van Dijk. Statistically, he was winning the most tackles, the most stuff. Why? Because he was at Southampton, and Southampton were leaking goals. If he had been at I don't know, someone that's slightly bigger at that point in time, slightly sort of more mid-table, they would never have picked him up because he wouldn't have been making as many tackles. Do you know what I mean? So them saying, well, we've got the best scouting. No, you haven't. You look at, and they still do to a certain extent. Darwin Núñez, statistically, is an absolute monster of a player. And I think I did say this before when they signed him. The manager and the owner of Benfica were laughing because they was like, oh, we'll let him go for about 40 million, and we've got players that are technically better than him in the youth team. They offered him a ridiculous amount of money. They put the phone down and started laughing. That's a story that comes directly from them. Why? Because they looked at the statistics and went, this guy's a monster, let's get him. Didn't look at maybe his technicalities. Benfica are the force, aren't they, in Portugal? They're creating loads more chances. You're not. You're creating 5 a game at the minute. It's five chances a game because Mane's gone and he's not passing, not passing the ball. You look at Haaland. You look at who should they have signed? Haaland is technically a better player than the Darwin Núñez is. I think in 4 years' time you'll look back at Darwin Núñez and go, we overpaid massively for him. Yes, he scored some goals. Yes, he's quick, but actually, he's not the full package as a striker.
And I think
it's not like 19, is it? He's in his early 20s. He should be almost at his peak performance at the minute.
And I think we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago as well, where we actually said that he reminds us of Andy Carroll. Again, another striker that was doing really well at Newcastle, again playing to their strengths, crosses into the box, headers, loves a header, don't get me wrong, has scored some pretty spectacular goals as well, but I think he didn't hit his heights that they wanted to achieve at Liverpool. So yeah, he's a player that gets on my nerves actually.
He's 23 years old, which okay, he's got a long time in front of him. He's not got a long time to improve as a player.
No.
You got one season, and then you're going to be at your peak. 24, 25 for a striker, because that's where your speed is. But say, for Benfica, he scored 32 goals in 57 appearances. And before that, he was with Almeria, who he scored 16 in 30. So, as I said, statistically, phenomenal player. But he's always played at the biggest club. He's always played at the best club. He's always had the best service. He's not got that this season. He's not got the ability to hold off 2 men, drive forward, pick the game up by the scruff of the neck and go, let's go.
And obviously with the physicality of the Premier League as well, it's going to be that's going to be a massive adjustment period for him. But we've already seen at the start of the season that if you ruffle his feathers, he's going to get aggy and throw in a Nutty Boy challenge or something. So that's, I think, one of the things. Plus, I think, I'd love to know how many shots he's had at goal to how many chances he's hit on target and how many goals he's scored. I'll miss the stat man whilst he's trying to look for that.
So the thing is with him is, had you put him in the squad from a few years ago, put him out on the wing, So put Mane on the left, Firmino in the middle, replace him for Salah. He would have scored the goal that Salah scored. He probably would have scored a few more because he's quicker than Salah is. But he hasn't got that sort of service. The other thing I wanted to float to you, the season they won, so obviously they came second by a point, didn't they, to Manchester United, in a 2-horse race. The season they won, if you put the Arsenal of today in that same league, and you put Manchester United of today in that same league, and the Newcastle of today in that same league, do they win it?
I would say probably.
All of those teams were diabolical that season.
Yeah, we were. We were in absolute shambles that season, 100%. But at the same time, that was the year I think that we won the FA Cup anyway. Granted, we obviously had a change of managers at that particular point, and we were doing fairly okay in the FA Cup anyway. And obviously we beat Liverpool in the Community Shield. Sorry, I had a complete brain fart there. But I mean, we put in absolutely brilliant performances against Chelsea and Manchester City. So we started hitting a bit of good form right at the right time for us. But obviously we had a load of deadwood as well. Let's be honest, we had a load of deadwood in the at that particular point. So I think we kind of rode our luck a little bit. But would they still win it? Do you know what I would say for that particular season? Quite possibly, because they were an absolute force of a team that year. I think they had it round up by around about March, April time for that season.
What do you want to know?
Nunez. So how many shots he's had?
He's had 32 shots.
How many on target?
12, which is 38% on target.
And how many goals has he scored?
He's scored 3 goals. He's hit the woodwork 3 times, and he's missed 3 clear chances.
Okay.
He's averaging 0.38 goals per match, 1 assist, 80 passes in 8 games, which is obviously 1 per match. He's created 3 big chances, and he has got 1 red card and committed 6 fouls.
Okay, there's a
lot for someone who doesn't have to tackle.
Yeah. But
he's made 1 tackle. Let's put it that way. That's his stat. He's made 1 tackle successfully.
And I think that was what I kind of wanted to highlight is that there was a massive price tag on him. So to be honest, it's the same what we see with Nicolas Pepe. I think the huge price tag on him, it does bring a certain amount of pressure. So that may be weighing on him, and again, an adjustment to the Premier League. I get that, but I don't see any sort of qualities about him as Liverpool's supposedly key front man, out and out striker that we've seen from the likes of Firmino, Sadio Mane. I know they're not strikers, but do you know what I mean? I don't think he's cut out, and I completely agree with you. I think he will be one that goes in the near future.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to find. Can I find some stats for him from last season? So let's look at. No, it's only, everything only comes up like this season. I don't want to see him at last season's. Let's look up. I can do you a comparison if you like.
Mm-hmm.
Between, I tell you what. Let's do a comparison between him and Mohamed Salah.
Okay.
I think that's a fair comparison. Would you say?
Yep.
So this is in all competitions for this year. So he's played 4 less games, but he's got 5 less goals. He's got 3 less assists. He's got 1 less hat trick. He's got less goals per match. He's got less shots per match by a huge way, and he's 164 minutes per goal in all competitions. I just thought that was quite interesting. Who's the other player? Who was the geezer who? So Harvey Elliott is the British youngster, isn't he? The English youngster who plays in midfield.
Yep.
Who I actually really like. I just hate that he signed because he signed from Fulham, and I don't think he should have done. I'm just trying to bring up that same that same picture, but it's not letting me bring it up larger. Come on. Open. No, it's not letting me open it up.
Okay, maybe that's one that we bring up and look into next week. Just getting a bit conscious of time.
Yeah, again, it's one of those that Harvey Elliott's stats outshining. Harvey Elliott's only just come back from a huge injury, so I just thought it might have been. But yeah, statistically, previous season's brilliant. I think he's a speed merchant. Yeah, go on. I'll let you. I'll stop looking at the stats because I'll be all night.
No, that's fine, mate. And I know you are a resident step man. But yeah. So yeah, just I think that will sum up for our dissection of Liverpool as it stands at the moment. I'm just gonna, I think, sum it up with quite a useful phrase, and I think I speak on behalf of everyone and say Liverpool shit, mate. Right, so just going back to what we were mentioning earlier, each week we do predictions for the our particular teams, looking at the Premier League fixtures. 3 points for a correct result. 3 points for a correct score. 1 point for a correct result. So we'll just recap on the games that we had last week. So we had Nottingham versus Arsenal, Manchester United versus West Ham, and we actually had a bonus game last week for Brighton versus Chelsea, the Graham Potter derby. In your predictions, you had 1-1 for Nottingham versus Arsenal. I had 4-1 to Arsenal, so that's 1 point to me. Manchester United versus West Ham. Ian, you had 2-2. I had 3-1 to Manchester United, so again that's a point to me, nothing to you. And the Brighton versus Chelsea game, Ian, you had 5-0 to Chelsea, and I had 2-2.
I will caveat that though, is I did predict either they would get blown away or they would blow Brighton away, and I thought he would have done it. But
so yeah, that's 0 points for both of us on that particular game. Just looking ahead at this weekend's fixtures, we are away to Chelsea. You are at home to Crystal Palace. So do you want to give us your thoughts on the game against Crystal Palace first?
They're above us in the table, and they are a team I think last year everyone slept on. Patrick Vieira's got them playing very well. They're very solid. Not as quite as prominent going forward without Conor Gallagher this year, but still doing the job, doing the business. We can't score. We're playing again in Romania this week, which will take legs out of the team. Even though it will be a rotated team, you still got to travel with a big squad. I'm going 2-1 Palace.
Okay.
I'd like to be confident, but I think that with the travelling and the fact that we're struggling in front of goal, I think we'll score, but then it will all go. We won't be able to score enough. Okay.
From what I've seen, I think Palace have struggled fairly recently in some of their fixtures, so I don't think you're going to be as dominated in this particular. I think I'm going to go for 1-1 on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I fancy me at 1-1. Chelsea versus Arsenal. I really don't know how to sit with this one because we are obviously flying high at the moment. We've dropped 4 points all season so far in the Premier League. No, that's a lie. 5 points this season. I'll tell a lie. And I know Chelsea have had a bit of an up and down spell, but Aubameyang's coming back to the Emirates. No,
Yes.
no, sorry, that's a lie because we're playing away. Aubameyang is coming. Yeah, is coming up against us. I know he's a little bit bitter against Mikel Arteta, but will we see him start in this particular game? It does remain to be seen, but still, because Chelsea have had such an up and down season, and the fact that they're playing at home, I've got to be honest, I'm a little bit worried about this game. I think we may see a draw out of this. I'd love to say that we will win, and I'm kind of letting my heart roll over my head on this one and say I think we could get a 2-2 draw out of this. I would love for a win, and I'm willing to sacrifice the points for getting too cocky because I know it would just come back and bite me on the arse. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw on this one.
My thought on this one is Aubameyang is going to be a big factor. I think this could be the first time we see something Emmanuel Adebayor-esque. Emmanuel Adebayor. Do you know what I mean? Like where he runs the length of the pitch and it's like does a front flip in front of Arteta and Arteta lays him out. It's one of those, when you look at Chelsea, they are struggling. You can see that Potter's trying to instill certain philosophies and some of the players are struggling with it. They've got a very aged squad when you look at it. But I think with you running riot last week and Chelsea being demolished, Chelsea will be training mid-yard and Arsenal think, we've got this. We've got this in the bag. And I think that will potentially come back to bite you. And as you said earlier in the show, you've struggled for clean sheets recently. I think Chelsea are going to pip you 3-2.
Okay.
Definitely some shithousery and some VAR in there.
Yeah, 100%. And it's going to be one of these ones where Aubameyang gets flagged for offside, scores the goal, but then the VAR checks it and the goal stands. I've got to be honest, this is one of the first games I'm not looking forward to all season. Liverpool and Spurs. Spurs more the occasion and bragging rights. Liverpool just because I hate Liverpool, as we've just discussed it at length. But this one, I've got to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous about.
I think we could both be wrong. I think it could end up being a really boring 0-0.
Yeah.
No one quite wants to overextend. Chelsea want to keep a clean sheet. Arsenal don't want to let Aubameyang come back in and embarrass you.
Mm.
Who knows?
Battlers.
What's that Wisdom now? Is he back fit yet?
Who's
Or
that?
Saka, is he out of Arteta's plans, Southgate's plans?
To be honest, I don't know. Literally, just because of the injury picked up at the weekend. It was just a knock. He'd been kicked a few times, so I'm not sure if there's any significant extent damage to it. But I'm sure we'll find out in the next few days as well. But yeah, I think this is where we may start seeing a cropper or coming up a cropper because of our squad depth. Now, Reece Nelson, who hasn't scored for a year or so in the Arsenal team. Granted, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, he's been out on loan, but you don't want to become too reliant upon him, or can you be reliant on him? Who knows? It remains to be seen. But yeah, I think that's done us very nicely for the time being. Have you got anything else you want to mention?
I'll say it once at the end of this one and once at the beginning of the next one. For those of you listening in Washington, Virginia, on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The highest audience comes from out of everyone all over the world is Washington, Virginia.
Nice. Well, greetings, our colonial friends. As you've just mentioned, obviously, we are available on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. Check us out on Anchor. Links will be in the description. If you have watched us on YouTube, we do appreciate you coming along for the journey with us. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help us out, and we are trying to get to at least 100 subscribers by Christmas, I think it is, by the end of the year, possibly, or... Yeah, so if you can help us out, share it amongst your friends, it'd be really, really appreciated. I just have one last thing that I do want to mention. Arsenal beating West Ham in the WSL yesterday. Come on, you Gunners!
We've got to let you.
What was that?
We've got to let you win. It would be unfair not to for you going, a few times.
Yeah.
And then going just obliterated. We'll give you one, and then next year we'll come back and we'll shout, we are fucking massive.
So, and I think the return of the FIFA Day Trophy, Predictions Trophy, is definitely coming home. But other than that, I've been Ian. No, I haven't been Ian.
It's late, mate.
Yeah, it is. I've been Mike.
I've been Ian.
Thanks very much for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Yeah,